You're awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
Did I sleep long?
The day's only starting. It's fine.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
Given the energy he pours into Riverside, I presume it was Fuller's creation.
His father's, to be correct. He was a surgeon on board the Scylla. He founded the hospital in 1904 with funds from the Hawkins family before he died and his son Thomas Fuller took over.
Two families inextricably linked.
Most island families are that way. Captain Fitzroy's father was also a seaman aboard the Scylla.
Powerful families dominating everything.
Yes, and as you could tell, Dr. Fuller is like some crazed emperor.
He wouldn't be happy if he knew we were snooping around.
I know the risks. I don't fear him. Do you wish to know anything else?
Dr. Fuller seems to be leaving a trail of corpses. Not to mention those strange machines, chains, and tools of all kind.
Yes. I've been telling you that Fuller uses his patients as guinea pigs.
What I saw was more akin to torture than medicine.
Do you even hear what you're saying? Dr. Fuller is highly respected.
It's the truth, Ethan. And I'll prove it to you. I'm listening, Mr. Pierce.
I met a Francis Sanders. Do you know him?
Of course. He's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins, and that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain it.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
I didn't see what, but something was there, with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins' visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
He's right. We can't ignore the truth.
But it could drive her mad.
Better madness than ignorance. Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow. Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
Let us go now and learn the truth about what's happening on this island.
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders, I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Well, well, look who's here. You know each other?
Our paths crossed, briefly. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, Detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me. May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
I expected to find you more grief-stricken than this by the death of your husband.
I do not like the tone of your allusion, sir. I had long months to weep every tear in my body, and to accept, if not my fate, at least that of my husband. And so I'm sorry to disappoint you if you're expecting more hysteria and grieving widow in my voice. Rest assured, however, my anger is real. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
With all due respect, Mrs. Sanders, it was you who sent him to this asylum, not me.
How dare you? What was I supposed to do, Detective? Upon seeing such a brilliant mind disintegrate in this way, waking with a start every night with him shrieking in horror, petrified before this accursed painting, unable to look away, until he managed to gouge his eyes out with his own hands. I should have listened to Dr. Fuller, let him intern him months ago. If I am to be condemned, it is because I did not act sooner.
I'm not here to condemn you, Mrs. Sanders.
Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it...
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long. Did she really care for him after all? day the Shambler came into the Sanders' lives. Frances Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even? Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the Shambler, "Finally." What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting? He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom? Was she jealous of Sarah Hawkins? She didn't want Sanders to have the painting. She must have felt devastated. Ah! The Shambler. I need to see it. Let's see what this cylinder has to say once it's inserted in a phonograph.
Irene, I made a mistake. I fear that it might be too late for me. Nobody should enter, except to burn everything. I never had the courage. Pay somebody to do it. He's inside my head. I see him behind my eyelids each time I shut my eyes. I can't take any more. I can't hold him back. Forgive me.
Francis, I should never let them take you away. What have I done? Everything is my fault.
I could use one of those. Strange. For months, Sarah Hawkins refused to part with her painting, to finally give it away for nothing. Another volume of the Reverend's wife's diary.
That's twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Some can be more fatal than others. What have you come looking for in this gallery?
Another painting by Sarah Hawkins. One connected to the horrors I've discovered on this island.
What a surprise. I'm listening.
And you? What brings you to the Sanders home?
I'm here on business. Irene asked me to liquidate all these paintings. She doesn't intend to hang around here for long.
Why you?
Believe it or not, There aren't many collectors on Darkwater. It needs someone with a network, and a means of transport to the mainland. A choice that comes down to Fitzroy and me. And I'm far more pleasant, wouldn't you say?
These artifacts date from pre-Columbian times. The man transforms an entire wing of his manor into an art gallery. Why was he so interested in old weapons? What the hell was that? Damn. Maybe I can use this dagger. Damn it! This dagger didn't work. Damn it! I have to use a specific dagger. This dagger looks different.
What's the matter with you? You sure you won't be needing that hand? You're losing it, Detective. At this rate, you're right. The bottle will get you before I do.
You didn't see anything.
I saw you within an inch of putting a dagger through your forearm. Did I miss something more interesting?
I was attacked by a creature. I pushed it back, I think.
I think so too.
You knew. You knew about the beast.
What are you talking about? Think yourself lucky that I saved your hand, even if it was to save my goods.
You mean me?
Don't flatter yourself, sweetheart. I'm talking about the contents of this gallery. And by the way, where do you think you're going with that dagger?
It saved my life. It's an extraordinary dagger.
You should talk to Algernon Drake. He's an antique dealer here on Darkwater. He'll tell you all about it. From what I saw in the ledgers, it was him who sold it to Sanders.
It's not your style to give me free information like that.
Take it as payment for being my canary. A simple trade-off. Now go see your antique seller. I've still got things to settle with Irene.
Where's the bookseller? Freud's The Interpretation of Dreams. It's the work that laid the foundations of psychoanalysis at the beginning of this century. Another volume of the Reverend's wife's diary. The Book of Zion is the foundational work behind Helena Blavatsky's Theosophical movement. Its followers place truth on the same footing as a religion. What does this strange book contain? This book contains unholy knowledge. What a strange amulet. I have a feeling I'd better not touch it. What happened here? Let's start over. Where did they break in from? Blood. Seems like amateur work. Someone tall left this footprint. A man, probably. This burglar seems to be rather clumsy. What killed all these animals? What sort of thief leaves his tools at the crime scene? What happened that made the burglar flee before finishing his work? What the... Charles Hawkins? What's happening to Hawkins? What sort of power did Sarah Hawkins' painting possess? Sarah Hawkins helped hide something in this safe. Drake put in a great deal of effort to hide whatever is in here. Everything is linked to the Sarah Hawkins case. Drake left instructions on how to find the combination of his safe. Is everyone on this island taking sleeping pills? What link did he find between Charles Hawkins and an old amulet? Arkham editions? Never heard of him. How many volumes are there in this collection? Another volume by Arkham Editions. Arkham Editions? Never heard of him. How many volumes are there in this collection. Another volume by Arkham Editions. Arkham Editions? How many volumes are there in this collection? Another volume by Arkham Editions. Things are not looking good. A kind of chalice. Cylinders that Drake tried to hide. I should perhaps listen to them.
如果你喜欢这期视频的话，可以帮我点个赞或者分享出去，或者按一下右下角的关注。那么咱们下期再见，拜拜。